Okay. All right, so I think we are ready now to begin, and more participants will be joining us as the morning goes. All right, so good morning and thank you for joining us. My name is Mia Zamora and I will be your host this morning for this forum on how to become a professional coach. I am also a professional coach myself, but it is a great honor to be with our esteemed panel of coaches today. And I will be introducing all of them to you shortly. So today happens to be day one of International Coaching Week with the theme Explore Your Potential. And this forum is Benchmark Consulting's kickoff activity in solidarity with the thrust of the ICF to bring coaching to more and more people so that more people can experience the power and the impact of coaching. So today, all of you have joined us to learn more about coaching, about professional coaching. And before we hear the stories of our panelists, allow me to talk to you a little bit about coaching. So there may be different definitions of coaching out there that you may have heard before, but the gold standard for coaching all over the world is the International Coaching Federation, or the ICF. And the ICF defines professional coaching as a series of transformative conversations that focuses on individual growth and development. And you may also be wondering, what are the different kinds of coaching out there? So there are many different kinds of coaching depending on what you decide to focus on or what resonates with you the most as a coach. But the ones that we most often come across are executive coaching, leadership coaching, relationship coaching, career coaching, and other skilled coaching fields. So usually we also encounter questions about what is the growth in the coaching profession now, or in the coaching market now. So the ICF has recently commissioned a global coaching survey, a global coaching study, which has shown that the awareness of professional coaching has risen from 51% in 2010 to over 70% in 2022. And the coaching market has, the revenue in the coaching market, or the coaching profession, has grown by 60% globally. So it is a very, very fast growing industry. In fact, coaching is the second fastest growing profession all over the world. So revenues of coaching have reached 4.56 billion US dollars as of last year. And in Asia, this is good to note, in Asia, it is particularly strong, growing at 86%. So it is really a growing profession all over the world. And now that you have come to learn more about coaching, you have definitely come to the right place, because Benchmark Consulting is the pioneer of coaching in the Philippines. Okay, so we will be telling you more about the coaching profession, of course, but it is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you all our panelists this morning. So starting with Coach Lynne Reyes. So our first panelist has over 3 decades of experience in the corporate setting. She has held key roles in sales, marketing, and business development in top companies. And after retiring early, she decided to pursue professional coaching with Benchmark Consulting. Today, she's practicing as a life coach and an executive leadership coach, and has recently gained the ICF ACC credential. Let's all welcome Coach Lynne Reyes. Hello, Coach Lynne. Good morning.
Hello there, Mia. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. So Coach Lynne, please share your story with us. What made you decide to become a professional coach?
Well, you said a bit, no, in the introduction. You know, if I were to put a title to my reason for becoming a coach, or to my journey to becoming a coach, I'd better title it Reinventing Lynne. Because as you said earlier, I've had over 3 decades in the corporate setting, straight out of college, I went to the corporate field already. I did sales, commercial leadership. I launched products, and when the time came, I thought it was right to open a new chapter in my life. So I knew I wanted to become a coach. You know, when you leave your regular work, no, a lot of times people are at a crossroad. You don't know where to go. What is your next big thing? But in my case, I knew it right away because it's been a calling for me, and I felt like in those 33 years in the corporate world, I've been very fortunate, and I wanted to pay it forward. And this is one way of doing it, no, helping people. And so, at the height of the pandemic, actually, at the start of the pandemic in 2020, I decided I'd do my intensive course training with Benchmark Consulting. And then once I became a professional coach, I started practicing. I never stopped since. And then last year I did my advanced course. I was very passionate for more learning, so I did that. And then soon after that, I got my first credential with the International Coaching Federation. So here I am now with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So we will be hearing more from Coach Lynne later. Our next panelist has over 25 years of experience in learning and development and has been a professional coach for over 5 years now. She is certified in applied neuroscience and disc profiling and has been recognized as the top 5 of the most influential Filipino women on LinkedIn in 2022, and also the top leader in Malasakit for Philippines in the top 30 leaders of LinkedIn in 2022. She also gained the ICF PCC credential, and today she holds various roles as the head of AIA Philippines Academy, Bravely Coach, solopreneur, wife, and mom. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Coach Mariel Tablan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mia. Hi, everyone. It's great to see everyone. Looking forward to sharing a lot of things that will help you as you think about pursuing professional coaching. So me naman, I started, siguro let me just share first that when I attended a Stephen Covey training within AIA Philippines mga 10 years ago, that's when I discovered na my personal mission is to be a transition person. So someone who helps another adjust to whatever situation they're in. And from there, it evolved until I had the chance to attend the 2-day course muna of Benchmark. And then from there, I realized that, okay, I don't want to be a clinical psychologist anymore. I think I want to be a coach. And after so many years, when I finally was given the chance to handle our salespeople, I was assigned in the field to directly work with our agency leaders. That's where I decided to pursue professional coaching because it is one way of adding value to the people that we serve within the industry. So I think it's also kind of like similar to Lynne. It's paying it forward to the industry that has taken that took care of me for the past 25 years, and it still is. So I would want to contribute to the industry where I grew. So that's why I decided to pursue professional coaching. And I'm very blessed to uh, be under the mentorship of Julius. So I think we've known each other for, I don't know, 20 years. So that is a blessing for me. So thank you so much for this opportunity as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach Mariel. And thank you also, Coach Lynne, for sharing your stories with us. Our next panelist is a pastor providing spiritual and pastoral leadership to the church and ministry to the community. He is also an author and facilitator and a global award-winning coach. He was the president of the ICF chapter in Cleveland, Ohio, and received the Young Leader and Chapter Leader Awards of the ICF. He is a master certified coach, that's the highest credential of the International Coaching Federation, and is also a graduate of the Advanced Coaching Program of Benchmark Consulting. So let's all give a warm welcome to Coach Zach Prosser joining us from the US. Coach Zach, thank you so much for being here. And please share your story with us as well.
Thanks, Mia. Thanks, Julius, as well. Appreciate the opportunity to be with everyone. So I started in coaching by hiring a coach, and in a season of transition in my personal life, professional life, I didn't feel like I needed a mental health counselor or psychologist. I didn't want a consultant, but I felt like I needed someone who could walk alongside of me in the transition that I was in. And I hired the coach. It was a great experience. I learned a lot about myself and found myself going through the transition much smoother. Actually, the coach that I hired was an ACC level coach, and now being at the MCC level, I reflect back on that. I think, he could have really used some help in that area. Because now that I have the training, I'm like, oh, that was a great experience. And so anyway, I after that experience, I thought, well, I enjoy this. This is how I show up. This is what I enjoy doing. I need to get trained. I want to go through training. And so I started the training process, and I haven't stopped learning. I haven't stopped the training process. I want to keep learning, keep growing, keep developing skills. So it's good to see everyone else that's here and wants to do the same.
Thank you so much, Coach Zach. And yes, we will be hearing more about your experience as well later. Of course, our fourth panelist today is the guru of coaching in the Philippines. In fact, we can say that he brought ICF coaching to the Philippines. He is the founder and president of Benchmark Consulting, which has produced over 533 coaches in 22 different countries around the world through its ICF accredited coaching certification program. He founded the ICF Charter chapter in the Philippines and is the country's first master certified coach. He is also one of the first in the world to gain the ICF certificate in team coaching and is responsible for creating a strong coaching culture in several leading companies. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome Coach Julius Ordoñez. So, Coach,
thank you so much, Mia.
So, Coach
Yeah,
Julius,
thank you.
tell us, how
Yes.
did you get here? How did you become a coach?
Yeah, but before that, good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for joining us. And happy International Coaching Week. Okay, so I would like to give you a brief history. Okay, so my first job was in the academy. I was a high school teacher for 3 years, and eventually I moved to corporate doing HR work. And the educator was so strong in me that I eventually ended up focusing more on people learning and development until I set up my own consulting and training outfit, which is now Benchmark Consulting. And so I came across coaching, and so I started researching about it. And I was directed to the ICF, and then eventually I was directed to a coaching school. And that coaching school actually gave me a taste of coaching. Like, I was coached. But in one single conversation, I had a lot of realizations about myself. I was able to envision my future. I was able to set goals for myself because I'm a person who actually lives in the moment. But in that single conversation, I was brought to the future, like envisioning what I really want, to create for myself in the future. And so I wanted that same experience to be experienced by my clients. And so I started, researching more information about it, and I started pursuing it. And the rest is history.
So, yes, thank you so much for sharing your story, Coach Julius. It's so interesting that our panelists come from different backgrounds. We have corporate, we have a pastor, we have someone who came from education, from the education sector. So it's really interesting how all of you ended up becoming coaches. So I have some questions for you that I'm sure our audience would like to know too. when one decides to become a coach, when you make that decision, what is the process then to become a coach? Like for you, Coach Lynne, what did you do when once you made that decision to become a coach?
Well, first let me just mention, but that it's something that I had in me all this time, even while I was working. I could say that it was something that has always been at the back of my head. I've always wanted to be a life coach. I thought I had it in me, and it was just put in the back burner because I was also getting opportunities in the corporate world. But the moment I made a decision and I knew the timing was ripe, I just jumped into it. I think in my case, there's a bit of serendipity, there's a bit of luck, and basically it's also, I would like to call it divine intervention because my steps were led to that summit in 2019. There was an International Coaching Federation summit in 2019, and I was barely out of the corporate setting then. Someone just told me about it. I went there, and I didn't see a lot of familiar faces, but just strangely enough, I felt it was home to me. And then I met the Marshall Reynolds, the Marshall Reynolds. He was the author of all of these wonderful books. I had my book signed, and then I saw this pleasant-looking guy later on becoming my own mentor, Mr. Julius Ordoñez. I'm very, very lucky to have been mentored by Julius. So that was just a decision I made. I think it was a calling. It can also be a gift. I just responded to it. And then I went ahead. I never stopped since I made that decision. So the passion for learning has been there. I started with an intensive basic course. I practiced, and then when I knew it was time for me to do the next level course, I went ahead with it. So there you go. It was a calling, and the timing was right for me.
Yes, people say that you know when something is meant for you, when everything just flows so easily. So I think it's exactly what happened in your case, Coach Lynne. So how long was your training? When you said you took the foundational course first and then the advanced course, how long is that training to become a coach?
For the first one is a total of 4 months, and it was intensive. We had a classroom training, all right, and then we had to get our own our very first coachee and go through it. And it was very intensive because we had to record. Sorry, of course, with the permission of the coachee, we had to record the conversation, the session, and we had to analyze what was going on. And we had so much of that, and then we had the final coming together. It was also in the classroom. We had a revalida. I remember very well the question that was given to me during the revalida. And then, as I said, there was an opportunity to do the advanced course after that, but I thought maybe I should do my practice first and then build more insight on the actual practice. And I think it worked for me. I think it was a good decision because when I did the advanced course, I was really prepared for it to move to the next level. So did I answer your question, Mia?
Yes. So is the process the same in all countries? Like, is there a prescribed process to become a coach? Like for you, Coach Zach, did you have the same experience? It was a 4-month course, or how was it like for you?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the great thing about ICF is that no matter where you're at in the world, the standards for coaching are the same. So you could be in Europe, you could be in Canada, you could be in the United States, you could be in the Philippines, wherever you are. The standards for academics when it comes to coach training, as well as coaching credentials, and the whole process, the ethics, the competencies are all standard. So the content is based on the training school that you go to and participate in. However, the academic standards are the same, which is nice because no matter where you are, you get the same type of content and it's rooted in the same core competencies of coaching.
So yes, that's the advantage of or affiliating with an international coaching body like the ICF, because then the standard is regulated. There's a specific.
Correct.
process. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's another question that I'm sure our audience would like to know. So Coach Mariel, what do people look for in a coach? Are there specific character traits that are required to become a good coach?
Um, there are a lot for sure, but for me, based on experience, it started with two things. One is having the heart of service. Kasi when I started using coaching in my work, it wasn't the company who sent me to the professional training. I decided on my own because I was dealing with people who have been in the industry for more than 20 years. So parang what can I offer? You've been here for the longest time. Of course, I can always use my training tools, but it's not enough. So how can I add value to this new partnership? That was when I was assigned in the field. So because I already had experience in coaching for the 2-day session. So that's when I went back to thinking about, okay, why not just pursue professional coaching? So that's why I enrolled also in the 4-month long training class. So heart of service is very important because um you you just give, you don't expect anything, and it's hard. It's really hard because your heart is, you just want to help. I want to help them transition. I want to help the tenured leaders adapt to the ever changing environment. So it's the heart of service. So that's the first one, and then the second one is be ready to disrupt yourself because there are so many uncomfortable situations, feelings, be it in your mind, in your heart. So, you have to be ready to disrupt yourself. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable and always be learning because the world changes and you have to change with it. So but those are, I think, the prerequisites. So heart of service and be ready to disrupt yourself. Everything else I think you can learn because patience, I learned that. Listening, I learned that. Being having empathy, I learned that. So for me, those are the two prerequisites.
What about in terms of specific work experience? Is there any requirement that you need to have been working for X number of years in order to become a good coach, or you need to have a lot of experience in a certain field? Like, for example, we have a question here from the audience from Lilybeth. Is there a prescribed age or the right age to be a coach?
Yeah, Mia may answer that because
Yes.
this is backed up by research. So Benchmark Consulting commissioned a coaching research in the Philippines to find out what is the landscape of coaching in the Philippines. And there were two researches that were conducted actually. So one was in 2019 and the other one was last year. And what came out to be those traits or qualities that people are looking for in a coach, one of them actually is coaching experience. Okay, so meaning what is the length of time that the person is already doing coaching, and surprisingly also, and no, it's not surprisingly, interestingly, one of those also is work experience. So meaning people are also looking for someone who has work experience. It belongs to the top 10 actually, based on the research. Okay, but that is also reflective of the kind of understanding that they have about coaching, because they see a coach as someone who will give them advice, imparting knowledge and wisdom and experience, etc. So that's why they're looking for someone with work experience. So I'm talking about the Philippine market. So it may be different in other countries because probably the awareness of ICF coaching is probably higher in other countries, but that is the current state in the Philippines. And yeah, going back also to the other findings in that research, one quality is also confidence. I think that's the number one. Like the person is exuding confidence, like, an aura of confidence, gravitas. And I can understand that because people are looking for someone they can trust, someone who can really help them, right? So it's a subjective feel. Like, does this person command authority and respect? Can I trust this person that he knows what he is doing? Because I will be entrusting my goals, my future in a way, to this person. So that's the first one. And the second one is explanation of the coaching process. So in other words, the person or the coach should know what he's talking about, right? He should be able to actually explain it well to the person. What is the journey like when the person partners with a coach? And the third one is ICF credential.
Very
This did not come out. This did not come out actually in the first coaching study. It was like it ranked like 6th or 5th, but this time it ranked 3rd and 4th because there's a study on life coaching and there was a study on corporate coaching. For life coaches, they were looking for the ICF credential. It ranked 3rd. For corporate coaches, it ranked 4th.
So very interesting and that leads to my next question. And this is directed to Coach Zach. What is the importance of an ICF credential? So Coach Julius just mentioned that it's one of the top 3 and the top 4 that people look for now in a coach. So I know the process is quite rigorous. So what made you decide to pursue all the way to the Master Certified Coach credential?
Yeah, thanks, Mia. So I actually wasn't ever planning on doing that, to be quite honest. I had first thought, well, I'll use coaching with people in my own circle of influence. I'll get the ACC credential because that's the thing to do, and I'll just stop there. And before I knew it, I had enough CEUs and ongoing education to get PCC. So I thought, well, I'm already here educationally, coaching hours, so I'll just go ahead and apply for PCC. And then a good friend of mine said, he had just gotten his MCC and he said, you should apply for MCC. I said, I could never get MCC. I'm not going to even try. That is too difficult. It's too rigorous. Not going to do that. And he said, well, I think you could do it. So then I started researching and I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want the best, because I'm not going to spend my time and not do well. I don't want to get the credential and not be at my best. So lo and behold, I run across Julius's program, and between him and Marcia, I felt like not only did they challenge me, but they equipped me to be able to get that MCC credential and be able to coach at that level. And so I appreciate that. I value that. But it's not only does having a credential feel good that you've received something for your hard work and you have an acknowledgement from an international coaching body, but you're also, by holding that ICF credential, aligning with the ethics, the competencies, the standards that ICF has in place. You're saying to potential coaching clients, potential companies, stakeholders, that you are in agreement with, you're aligned with, and accountable to the International Coaching Federation for your coaching practice. And I think that is it's remarkable that we have the opportunity to do that in a self-governed profession, but it's also, as Coach Julius has mentioned, it is a standard that people are looking for.
And in terms of the experience, if you're, for example, a coachee, is there a difference in the experience when you work with an ACC, a PCC, and an MCC?
Yes. There better be. There better be. Because, and the reason for that is there's different levels of training, There's more training hours required for each coaching level. There's more experience hours required for each level. And there's the ICF has what's called minimum skill requirements for each level. And so not only are there core competencies, but there's also proficiencies that you have to demonstrate at each level of a credential.
I see. Okay. And you mentioned earlier that coaching is a self-governed profession. So this leads to my next question for Coach Julius. So considering you are the authority for coaching in the Philippines and you have personally trained hundreds of coaches according to the ICF standards, why is formal training so important in coaching?
Oh, yes. Just like in any other profession, you need to be qualified to practice professional coaching, right? So if you want to be a doctor, you will go to a medical school. If you want to be a lawyer, you will go to a law school. So the same thing for coaches. If you want to be a coach, then you go to a coaching school. So it doesn't only give you that qualification, but it gives you what I call 3 C's, okay? First is credibility, okay? So if you are formally trained, meaning you completed an ICF accredited coaching education program, then your clients will be confident and will be assured that you're actually doing things the right way, right? That you're actually delivering coaching based on global standards. And therefore, they will be confident that they are in good hands with you. So that's number one, that you are legitimate, okay? You are not a fake coach. You are not self-proclaimed. Second, C is competence. It will give you a very strong foundation of coaching principles and concepts and a broad range of skills, techniques, tools, and abilities so that you're able to really perform well your roles and responsibilities as a coach. And of course, eventually that will also give you that confidence. If you have that credibility and that competence, that you're able to actually create meaningful coaching experiences with your client, that you're actually deliver coaching at your best, then you also have that confidence in yourself, right? And ultimately, this will benefit your clients. So while, yes, it will give you the credibility, it will give you the competence and confidence, ultimately, your primary reason for obtaining a coaching education, formal coaching education, is really for the best interest of your client. Because ultimately, it will be them who will benefit from it.
Yes, so we want the best for our coaching clients. So that's why we strive to pursue this standard coaching education and of course the ICF credentials. Okay, and well, people are also wondering, for example, since it's a self-governed profession, is there any move in the future to regulate coaching? Meaning only people who undergo the specific training for coaching can call themselves coaches. Is that the
Yes.
future?
I anticipate that to happen in the future. Yeah, I cannot predict that 100%, but yeah, if it's the fastest growing profession, and it's not just in developed countries, but as in globally, because ICF is now present in more than 100 countries, right, Zach? Is it like how many countries is it? 150, is it? Or 140 plus countries. So I can imagine that there will be a move eventually to regulate this profession. And also because the demand for coaching is tremendously increasing. So there are a lot of people also jumping into the bandwagon, calling themselves coach, even without the qualification to practice professional coaching. So all the more that we need this regulation for coaches.
Okay, thank you. So now we can open the floor to more questions from our audience. We already have one from Leo Bartolome. as a coach, do you normally wait for people to approach you, or do you take the first move to let them know that, hey, I think you may need some coaching? So how do you do it? Coach Lynne or Coach Mariel, would you care to answer that?
Yeah, sure. In my case, I have both. No, I think nothing prevents me from reaching out to someone. As I said, the basic premise is to help, right? And if you see that there is someone there who might benefit from the gains of coaching, then nothing prevents me from reaching out. So I do that. I can do that, but at the same time, I also get referrals. I also get assignments, and I'm grateful for both. So there.
Hmm. What about in your case, Coach Mariel?
For me, it depends. For example, with my direct reports, because I have a full-time work. So with my direct reports, we've included coaching as part of our structured month work. So we have at least once a month coaching session. So I offer it, but they still have, the decision to take it or not. For agency leaders, we are doing our best right now to put in coaching as part of the tool that they have. We're trying to build a coaching culture in our organization. So for the leaders, we offer it, and then whoever raises their hands and volunteer, so we accept it. So we volunteer so that they will also experience coaching before they go into the coaching class that we have in-house. For clients, I try my best to be very present on LinkedIn, and based on that, people have reached out to me. So I have my own clients now. So the approach is very different depending on which audience or which target I have.
Hmm. Okay. So I think both of you have also highlighted an important difference. There's internal coaching that is provided within an organization. So they have the resource for coaching within the organization, and people can take advantage of that. And external coaching, wherein it's open. People can approach you and say, I think I need coaching, I need help in certain areas, and that's where it happens. Okay. We have another question from Lilibet. How long would it take one to pursue ICF credentials from one level to the other? So, Coach Zach, would you like to answer that? How long did it
Sure.
take you from ACC to MCC level?
Yeah, so every person is different. So there are requirements for education at each level. And there are requirements for coaching logged, what we call logged coaching experience, where you keep a log of your coaching hours. So it depends on how long that it takes you to complete education, the mentor coaching process, as well as the coaching hours. So every person is different. If you're coaching internally, if you're coaching for, an organization, or if you're coaching on your own and have your own practice, a lot of those things filter into how long it takes to actually complete your credential. So you can be very zealous and move quickly, or you can take your time.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you. And Coach Julius?
Yeah, well, based on experience, and based on the experience of our graduates, one can actually be an ACC after a year. 1 year after they have already taken up the coaching course, or within that year itself. And for PCC, yeah, again, it depends. It varies from one person to another, but the average time would be around 3 to 5 years. In my case, I actually got my PCC after 10 years of coaching practice, because again, in 1999, coaching was totally unheard of in the Philippines. When you talk about coaching in the past, it's associated with athletic pursuits. So they didn't know about coaching. And going back to that question, like, Do you actually, present yourself to clients? In my case, during my time, I had to educate people first about what it is, because it was totally unheard of.
Hmm.
So there. And I got my MCC in 2013. So I've been an MCC for 10 years. So yeah.
So
So my journey was different. It's a lot faster now for some people, especially if they're really doing it full time. Like if they can gain the hours as in a short time, then they can actually get their credential also in a shorter time.
yeah, so it's really relative to a person's willingness to dedicate the amount of time for coaching, because yes, you need to gain certain number of coaching hours to go from one level to the other. Okay, we have another question from Jen Miranda. What is the difference between coaching and mentoring? I think this was related to what you said earlier, Coach Julius, that the understanding of people about coaching usually is very much intertwined with mentoring. So what is really the difference between the two?
Yeah. So I would like to actually request Lynn to differentiate the two. Yeah. It's her
Sure.
test.
It's like an exam. Oh no.
It's an exam.
The Revalida is back to the Revalida. But the way we explain coaching also is we tell them what it is not. So in a way, it helps people understand it better. Coaching is not mentoring, although that's often a question that's asked. No? In mentoring, we see a lot of that. For example, in the corporate field, where there is a seasoned executive with a protege, imparting knowledge, advices, and building up, developing that future leader. That's mentoring. Coaching is, as we said earlier, it's a collaborative process. The coach and the coachee, they're at the same level. There's no one at a higher level or lower level, and it can be any subject matter. The coach is not a subject matter expert. The coachee can bring in anything on the table in the session, whether it's a goal or it's a difficulty or it's something that he needs to gain clarity on. And the role of the coach is to be the process owner. So pantay, at the same level, the coach and the coachee, they work on a creative and collaborative process. So, and the other one is imparting knowledge. There's a subject matter there. There's a technical skill, a functional skill that's being handed down to someone who's being developed as a future leader. So I hope that answers the question. Did I pass my Revalida, Master Julius?
Oh yes, definitely. So it's actually the process of doing it, which is actually the difference between the two, because in mentoring it's more directive in a way, because it involves imparting, transferring knowledge, expertise. It involves advising, teaching, etc. Whereas in coaching, it's not those things, but it's all about facilitating the thought process of that individual. It's non-directive because it's all about evoking answers, thoughts, feelings, from the person, so that the person will actually derive his own solutions. He will come up with his own realization. So it's non-directive, and it becomes also transformational in a way, because the realization is much deeper if it's coming from the person.
That's really eye-opening, because I think all of us coaches, we do encounter once in a while questions like, oh, so you're doing life coaching. Does that mean you're an expert in life? Does that mean that you will tell me everything that I need to do or all the decisions that I need to make? So that's when we usually explain what coaching is. And it's not about giving all the answers or being the source, the fixer or the problem solver. It's about leading the person through a process in order for that person to reach the answers on their own. Okay, very interesting questions. From Zana, how do you know which coaching course to take? For example, do you take a corporate coaching course or life coaching, personal coaching? So how do you know which one is right for you? In your case, Coach Mariel?
I for me, I just joined what's available, and because I've been I've been with Benchmark for so long, so I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer this. So what's available, it's there. I attended it. I went through it. Personally, I don't think there's a difference if you focus on the process and the intention of the coaching. So if you went to coaching school, you got your credentials, whether you use it for life coaching, leadership coaching, relationship coaching, or whatever other aspect, it's the same. As Zach mentioned, it's standardized. So it doesn't really matter where you use it, for as long as you are faithful to the process and to the intention of coaching. So that's my point of view.
Okay. Anyone else want to add to that, coaches? So yes, the process or the standard coaching course is the same, and then later that's when you decide to focus on corporate or life coaching or relationship coaching, depending on what resonates more with you as a coach.
Mia, can I give my build on that? No.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with Mariel. The discipline, the principles that you apply when you do coaching, they're all the same. It's really just, you make a decision. What is more your inclination, where you gravitate towards. In my case, I thought at the beginning, oh, it's life coaching for me. Then I did executive coaching, and then as I practiced it, I realized the implementation, the application of the skills and the discipline, they're very similar, if not practically the same. It's really just the focus of the discussion. So there. Others actually do life coaching, executive coaching. Others find their niche in coaching, but still applying the same principles.
Mhm. And there can be many different niches. Yes, Coach Julius, you were saying.
Yeah, I was about to add to what Lynne said. Like, yeah, applying the same set of competencies, because as a starting point, you would like to be trained as a coach, right? So you need to have, a strong foundation of what it is, both cognitive foundation and, of course, the skills involved. And so you are like a general practitioner first. So it doesn't really matter whether you're a life coach or corporate coach or what coach will you be in the future. As long as you have that intention to help someone and you are actually trained on that foundational course, you can actually establish yourself as a professional, practicing professional coach, regardless what type that may be. And then eventually, if you want to go now to the advanced, or maybe you find your niche, as Lynne said, that's when probably you will find a place where you would like to specialize in. So it could be corporate, executive leadership, etc.
Mhm. Okay, and from Riza Latorre, from your experience, coaches, is it possible to pursue professional coaching while maintaining a full-time corporate role from a time and energy management point of view? Because of course, it takes a lot of time and energy as well. So
I
what's
think
your
this
take
is
on
for
that?
me.
Yes.
I still have
Totally.
my full-time work. When I started working on my professional coaching certification, I was working. Until now, I'm still working. So yes, it is possible. I think the fundamental thing there is, how bad do you want this? Because if it's a scale of 1 to 10 and your answer is 11 or 10, you will find a way to manage your energy, your time. You will find resources to start it and complete it. So yes, it is possible. I'm still working now. So it's very, very possible.
Mm. Yes, and Coach Zach as well. You are a pastor, so how do you find time for coaching?
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I live this question. So coaching gets integrated into everything. Once you have the skill, it's not just once you go through the training and you begin to change, and because coach training is really about you changing. So as you begin to change and become more self-aware, you find yourself using this way of being as a coach, not just not just in your coaching profession, but it becomes part of who you are, how you show up in everything that you do. Like even my wife will say things like, stop coaching me. So bit of advice, don't coach your spouse. But anyway, I find those, just showing up very naturally, and just part of who I am. And yes, you will make time 100%. You will make time for what you love. And, so not only do I use it in my role as a pastor, but I also have a coaching business, coaching network, all of the things that I do. And it all fits together very nicely.
Hmm. I think the audience may be wondering when you joke almost that you should not be coaching your spouse. Is it possible to coach family members or very close friends? Can you do that, or is that not allowed in terms of coaching ethics?
So coaching, absolutely. The coaching ethics there speak to this. It would not be ethical or wise to coach people who are close to you, because you have you have a vested interest in that relationship. And so often it's hard, part of what we do as coaches is help people see their blind spots. And so when you are in a close relationship with someone, your view of their blind spots becomes skewed based on your relationship. And so oftentimes that filter can come into that coaching relationship. And so it's not healthy for you or for the person that you're coaching.
I see.
Yeah, and probably, if I may add to that, you might want to use a coach-like approach in your conversation. Like, it's not always directive, so you can be asking questions, but then again, you need to be self-aware, because you might be coming from your own agenda, and you might have, a hidden agenda actually for asking all those questions. So remember that coaching is for the person, it's not for you.
Okay. We have a question here from Gloria. In taking your certificates from one level to another, is there a required number of hours or coaching engagements before you can be admitted to the next level? So yes, I think Coach Zach talked about this earlier, that the difference between ACC, PCC, and MCC is the number of coaching hours and certain competencies and skills that need to be developed between levels. But I think maybe they would also like to know, can you be a coach without getting an ICF credential first? Is there a certain number of hours to become a coach, and then that's when you pursue your ACC and so on? So Coach Julius, would you like to clarify the process?
Yes, you don't need to be ICF credentialed to practice professional coaching. As long as you have completed already 60 hours of ICF accredited coaching education program, then you already become a professional coach, and therefore you can already practice as a professional coach. Now, it's different when you would like to stand out, right? And you would like to have an instant credibility. And that's when you will aspire for the ICF credential, because the ICF credential is the only globally recognized coaching credential. So in other words, you can practice from anywhere else in the world, and your credential is being recognized.
Yes, okay. From Jan de La Paz, do we see a need for more coaches in the future? So from your experience, coaches, are you seeing an increase in demand for your services? Coach Mariel or Coach Lynne?
For me, is there a need to have more coaches in the future? Yes, there is a need, because as Zach mentioned, the journey of being a coach is first and foremost you transforming as a person. So when we transform, when we become better human beings, we become better in almost all our roles, because we bring that with us. We're only one person, right? So when we become better, others become better. So if there are more coaches, professional coaches in the world, imagine how much we can help each other become better. First, starting at home, and then that ripple effect goes to work and in the community, and of course in our country. So yes, we do need more coaches in the world.
Other coaches, would you like to add to that as well?
Yes, Mia, can I add to that? But my quick answer there is yes. You heard Julius say earlier, there's an even increasing demand for coaches. That's from an industry perspective. From a life perspective and from my own experience, I'd like to say we all have our own stories to share. And personal development is for everyone. It's just that sometimes, we need to be helped. Sometimes we are at a stage where, we're a bit stuck and we need clarity on our way forward. And that is where we come in. It sounds cliche, that we're here to help. But really, that is what's happening out there when we do coach. And you know that as a coach, when you hear the stories of different people. And these are when I talk about different people, these are really different people. Teachers, OFWs, entrepreneurs, moms, leaders, executives. So can you just imagine what else we can do if we all, help and listen to each other and give that opportunity to be listened. So the quick answer is yes, and that's my long my long sharing of my own experience.
So Mia, I have literally seen how the practice of professional coaching has evolved over time, because I started in 1999. Okay, during that time, it was only reserved for like very few people, usually the top guys, usually the high potential individuals. And I've seen that over the years, it has become more visible in other sectors of the society, not just in the business sector. So now you can see coaching in the religious sector, in the non-profit organizations, in the youth sector, in the academe. Practically all sectors of the society, they're already practicing coaching. So what is that telling us, right? So there's really a huge demand for coaching, and therefore we need more coaches to meet this demand. And also, if you see now the evolution of coaching practice in the corporate world, again, as I said early on, it used to be reserved for the privileged few, but now there's this democratization of coaching. It's being offered by some companies already to their employees from top down as a lifeline support. It's even a benefit for them, for their own personal development. So that speaks of, the huge demand for coaching, and therefore huge demand for coaches. So we should be producing more coaches for the future.
And it's especially important after these pandemic years. I think we have really seen a jump as well in the awareness and the need for coaches. And as we have seen in the study shown by the ICF, in Asia, for example, coaching is growing at a rate of 86%. So can you imagine? Definitely there is a need for more and more coaches in the future. Okay. From Jose Lino Sarmiento, is the coaching profession advisable even for people who are nearing compulsory retirement?
I like that. Compulsory retirement. Yeah. So meaning they are compelled to already retire. Okay, may I answer that question, Mia? Because when I started training professional coaches more than 10 years ago, most of my participants were the retirables or the retired executive CEOs, general managers. So it was seen as a second career for them. But over the years, the participants were getting younger and younger and younger. So I would say, yes, the coaching profession could be for anyone who would like to actually help someone. It's a helping profession. So as long as you are passionate about helping people, you're passionate about, you know, making use of your gift to actually help people also nurture their own gift, then this is for you.
Mhm. Okay. From Letty Young, for someone who is based abroad, how do you go about working on your coaching credentials? So this course that we are talking about by Benchmark Consulting, is it available even for those who are outside of the Philippines? So I will
Yes.
answer that already. Yes. Yes, the format is online. So you can definitely take the course even when you are based abroad, and the coaching credentials as well, because you will need specific number of coaching hours to do that, to reach your coaching credentials. So you can do that wherever you are based.
Yeah, and the timing is actually convenient to people here in North America, okay, particularly in the East Coast and West Coast. So Letty, I know that you are based in Vancouver. So yeah, the schedule is convenient for you because that will be early evening your time, I think.
Okay. We have a very interesting question here from Coach Roseanne. What has been your most difficult experience in coaching a client? Oh, this is a fun question to talk about. Your most
Yeah.
difficult experience. Let's hear from each of you.
Zach, would you like to start?
Sure. I will steal a story from someone that I've trained because I have to think about my own. But I always go back to this particular story of someone that I had trained. He had onboarded a new client and was meeting this client at a coffee shop and had gone through the onboarding process, had explained the difference between counseling and coaching, and that he was a coach, not a counselor. And the client was agreeable to everything. He showed up at the coffee shop, and the client got a cup of coffee, sat down, and demanded to get his medication. And the coach re-reviewed that he was not a counselor or psychologist, that he was a coach and could not prescribe medication. And the client threw his coffee onto the coach.
Oh,
So that is the most difficult story. And so I hold on to that because I feel like I have not had that experience. So I'm very thankful.
my goodness.
Wow. Yeah. So may I be the next, Mia?
Yes, sure.
So most of my clients are sponsored by their companies, and so the usual issue is, commitment to coaching, because they were actually provided by this coaching support. They are not immediately buying into the process. Okay. So in other words, they formally comply. So they're just acting out of compliance. And so the most difficult for me is when they just, flow with me and probably cooperate with me. That's very difficult because if they're not fully owning the process, they don't, necessarily be fully transparent and open in our coaching conversations. So if they're not transparent and open and they're not being honest about their own issues, about what they're thinking and feeling, how can I help them, right? So these are the usual cases. So again, highlighting the importance of commitment and ownership. So in other words, when you engage someone or when you are being engaged by someone in a coaching partnership, make sure that the person really has that full buy-in to the coaching partnership. Otherwise, it will not really work.
Mm. Okay, so yes, the person needs to be really willing and buy into the coaching experience. What about you, ladies?
Yeah. In my case, it's similar. It's also the commitment. I remember having this young adult for a coachee. Basically, she wasn't the one who approached me, but it was the friend of the mother who thought that the daughter needed some some coaching. And so we got introduced to each other. It went well at the beginning. You know right away that there is a need for coaching, and this is someone who would benefit from coaching. And she was appreciative. The coachee was also very open at the beginning. And then the way it continued was we were having difficulty pinning down the date, or when we were able to pin down the date, she would all of a sudden, just on a very short notice, say something happened, etc. And then I would start getting different reasons and all. So I was very patient at the beginning because, again, the intent was to help because I knew that this is something that would benefit this coachee. But towards the end, it continued, and I had to make a decision. I had to, put a stop to it. You decide whether it is something that the person is really committed to or not. So I think that's one of the difficult, probably the most difficult today, because I had to make a decision. And I remember a question during our training that was asked also by Julius on what does the success of the coaching engagement depend on? Is it on the coach or the coachee? And I said, well, it's a collaborative partnership, so it depends on both the coach and the coachee, right? If it were a partnership. And the response was yes, but ultimately the success depends on the coachee, on how open and how committed that coachee is.
The
Yes,
level of coachability. Yeah. If the person is not coachable, and when I say not coachable, that would mean his willingness to probably improve himself, to learn more, to develop himself further, and also his willingness to be open, to be honest, to be transparent to you. Because coaching is a process or it's all about transparency, actually. Coaching is all about openness, and it's all about honesty.
All right. So yeah, it's interesting because there are some people who feel that they are being sent to coaching because they need to be fixed in some way. They need to be tweaked, they need to be fixed. So meaning there's something wrong with me, and that's where some resistance comes in as well. So it's really coachability, it's openness, it's willingness to change. Okay, thank you, coaches, for your answers. Leo is asking, is it possible to see a sample breakdown of the fees? So hang on for that, Leo, because I will be announcing a very special treat for all of you participants of this forum later on. From Jojo, as an HR practitioner, what is the best way to convince top management that they need coaching without meaning to offend them? Very interesting. I think Coach Mariel, because you have corporate experience, how do you do that?
I'm with sales training, and our HR training is different. It's separate from our group. So since I'm head of the academy, we have somehow the liberty to run programs for our salespeople, and our salespeople are not employees. So it's different. I think somebody else can answer this better.
Maybe we can ask someone from the audience. I can see internal coaches who are HR practitioners actually in the audience. Yeah. Luchi, are you there? Maybe you can shed light on this. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, can you just, sorry, but Mia, can you just give me a quick brief on the question?
Yeah, so as an HR practitioner, what is the best way to convince top management that they need coaching without offending them?
Okay. All right, as HR practitioner in the past and having been in corporate coaching for years, what I do is bring them to the level of the purpose. Because you talk to management, they will always go back to the purpose on the why. And every corporate person would always anchor things objectively on why we are here, what is our purpose. The very reason of, the existence of the corporation, and of course, future, the future of the organization. So if I talk to management, I always have a rationale, the anchor in it. What is it that we want to happen in this organization in the next 5 years? Looking at the helicopter point of view of the organization, looking at the forest and not just the trees. It's not activity-based. Coaching is not an activity, but coaching is actually something, is the soul. I always relate it to something intangible. It's not just all about pursuing profit, but it's something about the spirit and the soul of the organization. What will give the organization that soul? For me, one, that is really coaching, because it would trickle down to the benefit of the whole organization, to the people. And if we are on the right spirit and the corporation has a soul, then, profit will just be consequential. So bring it at the higher level, bring them to the level of intangibles, and bring them back to the corporate purpose. Yeah.
And if I may add, Mia, because the question of Lino here says that they need coaching without being offended. Right. Okay. So the positioning of coaching here is very important, because again, if you're positioning coaching as something that will fix them because there's something wrong with them, then of course they will be offended. So position it as a growth-oriented approach that can help them in their development, that will ultimately benefit the organization, the business, the employees, the customers. Again, anchoring it to the overall vision and purpose of the organization. Okay, so don't position it as someone that will, address their weaknesses or that there is something wrong with them, because otherwise they will really be offended and they will resist it.
Okay.
Just interject also another way of positioning, of course, at the higher level. Some people in the management would be very much on the left brain and very much on numbers. You can also do it in a way that's not really very subjective, but objectively, when we do coaching, we can actually relate it to some metrics for the organization, for the business, and for the people. And there are 3 ways to look at it. Tell the top level that we can actually relate it to, number 1, on what Julius said, as we can actually measure it after coaching on how it impacted growth mindset, number 1, on how it impacted the revenues, right? And how it impacted engagement of people. So that's a very high level discussion of how coaching will be positioned in the organization. And if you hit it related to the business, what's in it for the business and what's in it for him as a top leader, then it can easily be, more engaging for that leader to embrace coaching.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your very powerful answer, Coach Lucci. So for everyone's information, Coach Lucci is also an ICF PCC certified coach. And she was the HR director of Mond Nissen for 25 years. So we're very privileged as well to have her here. Thanks, Coach Lucci.
And the second president of ICF Philippines.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie.
Oh, by the way, Mia, I think Letty has been raising her hand.
Yes,
for-
okay. Please
for
go
minutes
ahead.
now.
Do you have a
Yeah,
question?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask the question. It's so long that I felt it's better to say it outright. So my question is, how do you strike a balance between encouraging a coachee to be more open and to be transparent, and a culture like in Canada where there is so much importance or value given to privacy and confidentiality. So yes, as I listen to all of you talking about coaching, the collaborative effort between a coach and a coach, I am in country, or I would say in a culture where so much is so much value is placed into maintaining confidentiality and privacy. Less that you don't want to get into trouble with asking people about certain personal matters, especially if you're talking about life coaching. So how do you go about it? That's my question, actually. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so as professional coaches, Letty, we actually adhere to the what do you call this, ethical standards of the ICF. So we have what do you call this, code of ethics. And so in the contracting phase with your client, you need to assure them of confidentiality, okay? That everything that he tells you is sacred between the two of you, okay? And this also highlights the fact that there has to be that rapport between the two of you. Like you build really that certain kind of relationship wherein there is an honest, open, and trusting relationship between the two of you. Because again, if they are being assured of confidentiality, then they start trusting you. And you can also discuss about what would be the limit to what she can share with you. So it depends. It really depends on the level of openness and trust that you'll be able to build with your coachee eventually. Does that answer your question, Letty?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. So we have a question here from Richard. When do you engage a coach, a psychologist, a clinical psychiatrist, or a priest or pastor? Coach Zach, would you care to take that
Yeah.
question?
For sure. And my answer is yes. I think there's a space for all of those roles. Every one of those helping professions show up differently, and they each have the different responsibilities. And I think all of them are important in their space. And so part of learning about coaching is understanding the relationship, much with I would say the significant difference between all of these is that as a coach, the relationship is co-equal. It's a partnership. It's a thinking partnership. It's a sounding board, thinking, processing partnership. Whereas psychology, therapy, even in pastoring, much of what pastors or priests do is very diagnostic and treatment. It's listening for symptoms and treating. Whereas a coach, we are co-equals and partnering together in a journey. So, and I say that as a pastor, I actually don't. Side note, I don't even do pastoral counseling anymore. I have fully switched to coaching. So even when I meet with parishioners or people in our community as a pastor, I tell them right up front, I don't do counseling. I do coaching, and if they need counseling, I refer them out.
I see. Yes, but like you said, Coach Jacques, there is space for all of those professions. It's a matter of focus.
Yeah, for sure.
If I may add, Mia, so when do you engage a psychologist, therapist, or clinical psychiatrist? So the distinction is that if the person has a dysfunction, okay, then this is where the psychologist or the psychiatrist or the therapist comes in, because the person cannot function in his day-to-day routine, okay? And there are some signs that you see actually in the person, if probably is undergoing some depression, clinical depression, or anything that actually makes him dysfunctional at that time. So one example is, as I said, they cannot function well in their work, or maybe even their own personal hygiene. They can no longer take care of that. Another one is sudden weight gain or weight loss. That's also another sign. Or there is insomnia, okay? Or maybe they lost appetite in eating. So all these things. So in other words, the person needs to be treated in a way. So this is where now the psychologist, the therapist, and the psychiatrist comes in. Okay. Now for coaching, we are targeting the individuals who are already highly functional individuals. They are highly functioning individuals, and you would like to actually bring them to self-actualization so that their fullest potential is being maximized. So that's a difference.
Okay, so yes, now it's clearer. And once you see these telltale signs in your coachee, you need to be able to tell them, right, that I think maybe you need something else. You need a different intervention. Okay, so I think we have time for one more question. So Leo here is saying, is it true that the openness of the coachee will partly depend on the coach as well? So this is a follow-up to the conversation we had that the coachee has to be open and coachable. So does this openness of theirs depend on the coach? Do you create that? What do you
Allow me
think?
to answer that, Mia. I
Yes.
think it's also a good follow-up question, no? Because we've been talking about this conversation, this partnership also needing to be a safe space that's based on trust. So the question now is, how can one be open, and how can that on the basis of trust? So the coach who is trained is also able to, or knows how to allow or permit the coachee to be himself during the conversation. And by that, I mean, you set aside your judgments. It's important that the coachee doesn't feel that he is judged. And that's one way of making him feel that that is a safe space. Because the moment that the coachee feels, I say something, but, I feel that I was judged, then the openness will already be affected. So I hope that answers the question, Leo.
All right. Okay, so I would like to ask each of our coaches, our panelists this morning, to share like one message that you would like to give to our audience today. If you could leave one message for our audience today, what would it be? Can we start with Coach Mariel?
Thank you, Mia. So if you are still thinking about going into professional coaching, maybe I leave with you 3 things that can help you make the decision or clarify your decision further. One is always be led by purpose. Go back to why the interest in coaching. What impact do you want to leave the people that you serve? Next one is fall in love with lifelong learning because it will never stop. We should always be learning as professional coaches. Well, actually in any of our professional lives, right? So we should always be learning. And the last one is take risks. I'm sure it's not just like in my journey, it was not easy to decide to go into this because I also had the same thoughts in terms of, can I do this? Do I have the time? How do I manage my energy? But if your A and B, 1 and 2 are very clear to you, then the third one will be, will be easier. It will come easier. So those are the 3 things that I leave with you. I hope it will help you decide finally to join us in the adventurous world of professional coaching. Thank you so much for coming today, and thank you for having me, Mia.
Thank you, Coach Mariel. What about Coach Lynne? What's your message for our audience today?
Yes, let me leave you with an acronym. It's CPR. No? C for calling, P for purpose, and R for right timing. So if you think you have the calling, you have the gift, like in my case, I thought I had it, I just responded to it. I had it. And P is for the purpose. Purpose is basically paying it forward. If you feel like you've been blessed, and in my case, I thought I was blessed more than I deserve, I'd like to help. And that's my way of paying it forward. And I have deeper reasons and deeper purposes for doing this. And timing is very important. In my case, it was after I decided on doing an early retirement. So the timing was right for me. And believe you me when I say it's never too late to reinvent yourself, restage yourself, relaunch yourself. And for as long as you find joy in what you do and you get a natural high, knowing that you're able to make a difference in someone's life, go for it. CPR.
Thank you, Coach Lynne. And Coach Zach.
Thank you, Mia. Thanks everyone again for being here. I would leave you with the thought that you are capable, that you are able to do this. If you're jumping in, this is your first experience with coaching or coach training, you can do it. You're capable. If you're currently a coach, your growth, your ongoing growth and work as a coach is so needed, and you're capable.
Beautiful message. Okay. And Coach Julius?
I'm going to pose 2 coaching questions to everyone. Okay, one question that you might want to ponder. What exactly do you want to contribute to the world? So that's the first question. My second question to you, how can coaching help you, in making that contribution that you want for the world? So thank you for joining us.
Definitely things to ponder. Okay, so well, it has indeed been a very insightful morning. I would like to thank our wonderful panelists for the time, and I hope that through this forum we have enlightened you a bit on the journey towards being a professional coach. We are very happy to announce that Benchmark Consulting will host another run of its coaching foundational course, the Accelerated Coach Training Program, from July to October this year. And if any of you who are signed up in this forum today will register, you will receive a 10% discount. So that's our special gift for you today. So make sure that you get in touch with us at info@benchmarkconsulting.net for more details and to register for the program. And you will also see more information in our website. All right, so thank you so much to all of you for spending your Monday morning with us, and it's Sunday evening in the United States. So special thanks to our panelists as well for joining us this evening. And we look forward to your coaching journey with us. So thank you, and have a great day and a great week ahead.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.